Welcome to Mind Set in Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
All right, so we're diving into Think and Grow Rich today. It's a pretty famous book, right? People always talk about unlocking those secrets to success and all. It promises to reveal Andrew Carnegie's formula for building wealth.
Yeah, it's definitely got a loyal following. And I mean, there are some pretty impressive success stories out there, like Darren Carter. He founded Contours Express Fitness Centers, and he says this book was a huge part of it.
Wow, that's inspiring. So Carnegie thought his secret was so powerful it could actually change education, even cut schooling time in half, big claims. And Hill, the author, he says he's revealing this secret throughout the book's 13 principles.
Right, but he never just comes out and says it directly.
It's more like a puzzle then.
Exactly. I mean, if it were that simple, everyone would be rich, right? Hill kind of weaves this secret throughout the whole book, using examples of people who figured it out and became incredibly successful. Think Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, Thomas Edison, all these people who really changed their industries.
And what's so interesting is a lot of them didn't have like tons of formal education. There was something else driving them. Hill calls it burning desire.
Exactly. And he tells this great story about Edwin Barnes. This guy was so determined to work with Thomas Edison that he actually hopped a freight train just to get to him. And eventually he actually became Edison's business partner.
Wow, talk about taking initiative. So it's more than just wishing or dreaming. It's about having this desire that actually makes you take action.
Right. It has to be a really strong desire. Hill really emphasizes having a definite desire. He even tells this little story about a young girl who just stared down her uncle until he finally gave her 50 cents.
That's some serious determination for 50 cents. I love that story.
It just highlights the importance of being really focused. It's like those athletes who visualize crossing the finish line.
That makes sense. You need to have that crystal clear image of what you want. But I mean, was Barnes just lucky? Not everyone who hops on a freight train ends up working with someone like Edison, right?
That's true. It's not about like blindly believing anything will happen.
Yeah.
Hill actually wants people to really test out his principles.
So there's an element of risk to it.
Yeah, like any investment. You have to put something in to get something out. And that actually leads to Hill's ideas about the power of thought. The idea that our thoughts, positive or negative, can really shape our reality.
So it's like the law of attraction.
It is. Hill compares the mind to a magnet, attracting what it focuses on. So if you're always thinking about limitations, you're more likely to attract those kinds of results. But if you cultivate positive thoughts and believe you can succeed, you attract opportunities that match your goals.
That's a powerful idea. So it's not just about having the desire, but about truly believing you can achieve it. That brings us to faith, which Hill says is like the starting point. But how do we actually cultivate that kind of unshakable belief, especially when things are tough?
Well, Hill says faith isn't just a religious thing. It's a state of mind that we can create through autosuggestion.
Autosuggestion, that sounds pretty intense. Is it like self-hypnosis or something?
You can think of it as constantly affirming your desires to your subconscious mind. Hill even suggests vividly imagining yourself already having the wealth you want, like planting a seed and nurturing it with positive thoughts until it grows into reality.
I'm starting to see how all these principles work together. You have the burning desire, you cultivate faith, and then what's the next piece?
Next, Hill emphasizes that specialized knowledge is key.
So it's not enough to just have a bunch of random information. You need knowledge that's specific to your goal.
Exactly. It needs to be organized and directed. Like, remember Andrew Carnegie? He wasn't actually a steel expert, but he was a master at surrounding himself with people who were. He knew his strengths, and he focused on building those relationships with the experts.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about playing to your strengths and knowing when to get help from others. And these days, access to specialized knowledge is easier than ever, with online courses and everything on the internet.
Exactly. The resources are out there.
Okay, so we've got the desire, the belief, and the knowledge. Where do we go from there?
Well, that's where imagination comes in.
So we're not just passively taking in information. We're actively using our imagination to create a vision for the future.
Exactly. Think of it like an artist with a blank canvas, envisioning the masterpiece they're going to create. Hill actually uses this cool story about an old kettle that somehow produced gold for its owner. Turns out there wasn't a magic formula. It was the owner's powerful imagination at work.
So it's about seeing potential where others don't. Like the creators of Coca-Cola, they took a simple syrup formula and turned it into something huge. But it seems like all these principles are about individual effort. Can you really achieve great wealth all alone?
That's a great question. And actually, Hill argues that no one achieves great wealth in isolation. He introduces this idea of the mastermind principle, stressing the power of collaboration.
So it's about recognizing that we don't have to do everything ourselves?
Right. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
So what exactly is a mastermind?
Hill describes it as the coordination of knowledge and effort between two or more people, all working together in harmony. Like a team of brilliant minds coming together toward a shared goal.
It makes you think about those success stories we talked about earlier, like Henry Ford was collaborating with amazing minds like Thomas Edison and Harvey Firestone, and Mahatma Gandhi achieved incredible things through the collective power of his followers.
You're absolutely right. Their success wasn't just about individual brilliance, but also about their ability to build powerful alliances and create movements. That's the mastermind principle in action.
That's such a powerful concept. It makes you think about the people you surround yourself with and how they can support you on your journey. Now, Hill also mentions this sixth sense. That sounds a little mysterious. What's that all about?
The sixth sense, yeah. It's one of those interesting and maybe misunderstood principles. Hill describes it as a higher level of intuition, like an insight that goes beyond our normal five senses. He says it allows you to tap into what he calls infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence. So it's about connecting to some source of wisdom beyond ourselves.
Exactly. Hill believed this sixth sense could give you access to guidance and inspiration that goes beyond what you already know. He even created his own imaginary council of great minds, people like Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Edison, and he'd mentally consult with them for inspiration and to help him solve problems.
So he's suggesting we can all tap into this infinite intelligence through our sixth sense. It sounds almost like having a secret weapon, but how do we access the sixth sense?
Well, that's a question we're going to dive into deeper in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, let's think about these first principles we've talked about. The burning desire, cultivating faith, the importance of specific knowledge, the power of imagination, and the magic of collaboration through the mastermind. These are all powerful tools for success, and we can all learn how to use them.
This is already so much to think about, and I'm really looking forward to exploring more of Hill's insights and seeing where this path leads us in the next part of our deep dive. Welcome back. We're digging deeper into Think and Grow Rich and trying to uncover those secrets to success. So far, we've talked about burning desire, faith, specialized knowledge, imagination, and collaboration, all those important foundations. But it's not enough just to have a great idea, right? You have to act on it. And that's where Hill's principle of decision-making comes in.
Exactly. Hill really stresses the importance of making clear and definite decisions. He calls it the seventh step to riches. It's about making choices that truly align with your goals.
That makes sense. But so many people struggle with making decisions. I know I sometimes overthink things way too much. Why do you think that is?
Well, Hill observed that a lot of people develop this habit of indecision. And he thought it was partly because traditional education doesn't really focus on teaching people how to make those clear, timely decisions.
So we're kind of stuck in this analysis paralysis.
Yeah, kind of. And Hill also warns about being too influenced by what other people think. It's a tricky balance, right? Seeking advice, but also trusting your own gut.
Definitely. So how do you find that balance?
He says to get advice from your mastermind group, those trusted advisors we talked about. But ultimately, the final decision rests with you. You're the captain of your ship, as they say.
And sometimes those big decisions involve taking some pretty big risks, right? Hill talks about the American Revolution and the decision to declare independence. That was a huge risk, and it definitely took courage.
Absolutely. And he points out how the decisions of just a few individuals, like John Hancock and Samuel Adams, sparked this whole movement that changed history. They truly believed in their cause and were willing to stand up for it, even when it seemed impossible.
And think about the impact. Their decision led to the creation of a whole new nation. It makes you realize just how powerful a single decision can be, not just for yourself, but for the world around you.
It's about having that confidence in your vision, even when other people might doubt you.
So we've made that decision, we've taken the leap. But then what happens when we hit a roadblock? Things get tough and we're tempted to give up.
That's where persistence comes in. Hill calls it the eighth step to riches. He saw it as absolutely essential for turning desire into actual, tangible results. And he believed the foundation of persistence is willpower.
Willpower, that mental toughness that helps you push through challenges, that's what separates the dreamers from the achievers?
Exactly. Hill believed willpower combined with that burning desire creates an unstoppable force. He also noticed that people who are really successful are often seen as being ruthless. But what they really have is this incredible persistence fueled by a strong will.
So it's not about being mean, it's about being determined.
Right. Hill uses examples like Fannie Hurst and Kate Smith. They both faced tons of setbacks before they found success. And then there's King Edward VIII, who gave up his throne for love. Now that's dedication.
Wow, that's a powerful example. But let's be real, not every story has a happy ending. What about those times when, despite our best efforts, we still face setbacks? Should we just pretend failure doesn't happen?
Well, Hill acknowledges that setbacks are just part of the journey. They're going to happen. But he encourages us to see those temporary defeats as opportunities to learn and grow. It's not about ignoring failure. It's about using it to your advantage.
So it's about having a growth mindset, seeing challenges as stepping stones.
Exactly. He says it best. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits.
I love that. It's a great reminder to keep pushing forward even when things get tough. Now, let's go back to that idea of the sixth sense for a bit. You mentioned it's about intuition and tapping into this higher intelligence. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so Hill describes the sixth sense as this level of awareness that goes beyond our five physical senses. He says it lets you connect with and use this thing he calls infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence. So we're talking about connecting to this universal source of wisdom and knowledge.
Exactly. And Hill believed that the sixth sense operates through our subconscious mind. It's like a bridge between our limited human minds and this infinite intelligence.
Now I'm starting to see how this connects back to what we talked about earlier with autosuggestion and faith. If our subconscious is connected to this infinite intelligence, then maybe by filling it with positive thoughts and beliefs, we can access that wisdom.
That's exactly it. Hill suggests that when we align our conscious desires and thoughts with our subconscious, we tap into this incredible power. He believed anyone could develop this ability, not just like mystics or spiritual masters.
It's like we all have this incredible potential within us, this connection to this source of infinite wisdom. I love how Hill talks about creating an invisible council of great minds to get guidance and inspiration from. It's like having access to this collective intelligence that goes beyond our own limited perspective.
He really believed the sixth sense wasn't about supernatural powers or anything. It was about a natural human faculty that anyone could develop.
It makes me think about those times in my life when I've had a strong gut feeling or intuition that led to a positive outcome. Like we all have this inner compass, this sixth sense, that can guide us if we just learn to listen to it.
It's about recognizing that there's more to success than just logic and reason. We have to be open to receiving guidance from those unexpected sources, trusting our intuition.
Okay, we're getting pretty deep here, but before we get too carried away, I think we need to talk about something that can really hold us back from achieving our dream sphere. Hill dedicates a whole chapter to this, right?
He does. And he offers some really valuable insights into how to recognize and overcome those fears that can be so deeply rooted in our subconscious.
The world can be a scary place, and it feels like we're constantly bombarded with negativity. It's no wonder fear can take hold. What are some of the specific fears Hill talks about?
He lists 6 basic fears that he believes hold people back: poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Pretty universal fears, really.
Those are some big ones. They feel almost ingrained in our society.
And Hill believed those fears are often amplified by all the negativity around us, by the environment, and by limiting beliefs we pick up from society.
So it's not enough to just try to ignore those fears or pretend they don't exist. We have to really understand them, figure out where they're coming from and how they're impacting us.
Exactly. Hill says recognizing those specific fears holding you back is the first step to overcoming them.
Okay, so awareness is key, but then what? What can we actually do to overcome those fears? It's easy to say don't be afraid, but actually facing those fears is a different story.
Well, Hill has some practical strategies. He suggests replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Like if you're afraid of failure, you start affirming your belief in your ability to succeed.
So it's about making a conscious effort to shift our mindset. But what about those fears that feel really deep-seated? How do you deal with those?
Hill also talks about focusing on your strengths rather than dwelling on your weaknesses. It's about recognizing and celebrating what you're good at, those unique abilities and talents you have, instead of getting stuck on what you perceive as shortcomings.
That makes sense. It's about building that confidence in yourself. But what about when those fears make you feel isolated and alone?
Hill really emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people. People who lift you up and encourage you.
That's so important. Having a good support system can make a huge difference when you're facing challenges, but it's also about taking responsibility for our own thoughts and actions, right?
Absolutely. Hill believed we all have the power to choose how we respond to challenges, to create the reality we want. We're not just victims of circumstance. We have the ability to shape our own destinies.
That's really empowering. It means we're not at the mercy of our fears. We have the power to overcome them and create a life we truly love. This deep dive into Think and Grow Rich has been so insightful. Hill's ideas are just as relevant today as they were back then, and we've only just scratched the surface.
There's still more to explore. We've uncovered some incredibly powerful tools, and there are even more waiting to be discovered.
I can't wait to delve into those remaining principles and see how they all come together in the final part of our deep dive. All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. It's amazing how Hill lays out all these principles. They really build on each other. We've already covered so much: burning desire, faith, specialized knowledge, imagination, collaboration, decision-making, persistence, that sixth sense, and even how to tackle our fears. But what's next? We've overcome those initial hurdles, but how do we keep that momentum going?
Well, that's where Hill brings in this principle of personal initiative. He actually calls it the ninth step to riches, and he really emphasizes it as a way to beat procrastination.
Yeah, procrastination. We all know that one, right? It's so easy to put things off. Why do we do that even when we know it's not good for us?
Hill believed people who lack initiative are always waiting for things to just happen to them. They're waiting for those perfect opportunities to fall in their laps. But taking initiative is about creating your own opportunities.
So it's about shifting from being passive to being proactive. You're not just going with the flow, you're in the driver's seat.
Exactly. And even taking those small first steps can make a big difference. Hill recommended setting clear goals and breaking big tasks down into smaller, more manageable steps. That way it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
That's good advice. And those small victories along the way, celebrating those can help keep you motivated, right?
For sure. And surrounding yourself with people who support you and encourage you to take action, that's important too. You don't want to be around people who are always dragging their feet.
Good point. You need that positive influence. So it sounds like Hill believed anyone could develop this personal initiative if they really put in the effort. It's not something you're just born with.
Right. It takes conscious effort and practice. Okay, so we're taking initiative, making things happen. But Lily also talks about the importance of having a pleasing personality. That's kind of an interesting one to include in a book about financial success, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. But I guess it makes sense. People are more likely to want to work with someone they like and trust.
Exactly. We'll believe that having a pleasing personality could give you an advantage in all areas of life. He was talking about charisma, that magnetic quality that draws people to you.
So it's not about being like the loudest person in the room or the life of the party, right? What are the things that actually make up a pleasing personality?
Well, Hill highlighted things like genuine enthusiasm, sincerity, empathy, a real interest of other people. It's about being approachable, making people feel comfortable and valued.
Those are qualities that work in any situation, not just in business. It's about building those real connections. But how do you actually develop those traits? Is it something you're just born with, or can you learn it?
Hill believed you could develop a more pleasing personality by cultivating positive habits. Things like really listening to people, expressing gratitude, giving sincere compliments. And he was a big believer in maintaining a positive mental attitude because he felt that what you think and believe on the inside will show up in how you interact with the world.
So it's not about putting on a fake smile and pretending to be someone you're not. It's about doing the inner work, cultivating those positive qualities within yourself.
Exactly. It all starts from within. A pleasing personality isn't about trying to manipulate people. It's about genuine warmth and connection.
Okay, so we're taking initiative, radiating positivity. What's next on our path to success?
Well, now we have to make sure all our efforts are based on solid judgment. Hill called this accurate thinking. The 11th step to riches.
That's a good one, especially these days, right? We're constantly bombarded with information from all sides. It's hard to know what to believe sometimes.
Hill warned against blindly accepting information. He wanted people to get in the habit of questioning assumptions, considering different perspectives, really looking for evidence to support what they were being told.
So it's about developing those critical thinking skills, being a smart consumer of information, not just passively absorbing everything that comes your way. But even with all the information in the world, sometimes our own emotions can get in the way of making good decisions.
Right. Hill recognized that. He talked about the importance of being aware of your own emotional biases, because it's so easy to let those feelings lead you astray.
It's finding that balance between logic and emotion, making decisions based on sound reasoning, but also acknowledging the role your feelings play. So accurate thinking is an ongoing process, right?
Absolutely. Hill suggested reading widely, having those thought-provoking conversations, seeking out mentors who can challenge your thinking. It's about staying curious and always being open to learning and growing.
Like we're all students in the school of life, constantly evolving. Okay, so now we've got a clear vision, a positive attitude, and the ability to think critically. But how do we take all of that and turn it into focused action?
Hill believed controlled attention was key. He called it the 12th step to riches. It's that ability to really focus your mental energy on your goals.
That's a tough one these days with all the distractions around us. How are you supposed to find that laser focus when you're constantly getting bombarded with notifications, emails, social media?
It's not easy. Hill knew that distractions were part of life, but he had some strategies for managing them. Things like creating a dedicated workspace, setting boundaries with technology, and using mindfulness to train your mind to stay present.
So it's about creating an environment that supports focus and developing those mental habits to help you stay on track. But sometimes it's not just about blocking out distractions, right? It's about actively directing your attention towards your goals.
Right. And Hill was a big believer in the power of visualization, really picturing yourself achieving those goals, rehearsing it in your mind. He felt that could strengthen your focus and make success more likely.
That's so powerful. Athletes do that all the time. If you can see it, you're that much closer to making it happen. Okay, so for the final principle of Think and Grow Rich, we've got cosmic habit force. What's that all about?
This one is a little more philosophical. Hill believed there was this universal power, a force that governs everything. And he thought we could tap into this power by developing positive habits.
So it's like aligning your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with this cosmic force, almost like you're riding a wave of energy towards success. But what does that actually look like in everyday life?
Well, Hill was a big believer in the power of habits, good or bad. They can really shape your life. He stressed the importance of developing habits that support your well-being and help you achieve your goals. Things like practicing gratitude, maintaining a positive attitude, taking consistent action.
It's about being mindful of the habits that are shaping your life and making deliberate choices to cultivate the ones that are going to take you where you want to go. It's like we're the architects of our own lives, choosing the building blocks that will create something amazing.
Exactly. Hill even provided this whole list of positive habits that he felt were crucial for success. Things like definiteness of purpose, self-confidence, saving money, initiative and leadership, imagination, enthusiasm, self-control, always going above and beyond, having a pleasing personality, accurate thinking, concentration, and cooperation. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
Wow, that's a lot to work on, but it covers every aspect of personal growth, doesn't it? But what about those bad habits, the ones that can really sabotage our efforts, like fear, procrastination, indecision?
Hill definitely warned against those. He encouraged people to become aware of their negative habits and actively work to replace them with those positive ones. It's about consciously designing the habits and routines that will help you create the life you want.
It's like we have the power to choose our own adventure. We get to decide the path we want to take. This has been such a fascinating deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. Hill's ideas are truly timeless. They can apply to anyone who wants to achieve their full potential.
It's a blueprint for success that goes way beyond any specific job or career. It's about developing a mindset and habits that help you create a life of abundance and fulfillment.
Before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one last thing that really resonated with me. Hill's emphasis on freedom.
Yes. Hill was really passionate about personal freedom. He believed his principles were key to achieving your full potential, especially in a free society. And he saw financial freedom as a crucial part of that. It gives you the opportunity to pursue your passions and make a positive impact on the world.
It's a good reminder that we have the power to create our own destinies. Success isn't just about money, it's about living a life of purpose and meaning.
Exactly. Hill believed Think and Grow Rich was about so much more than just material wealth. It was about creating a better world for everyone.
Well, this brings us to the end of our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. We really encourage you to go back and revisit these principles, see how they apply to your own life, and take action. Create the reality you want.
Remember, you have the power within you to achieve your dreams.
And that's it for this episode. Keep thinking, keep growing, and keep reaching for those stars.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.